It's really good, isn't it? The setup between Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis in January for Canada UFC 297. It really sets up the division well. Now, if Dricus du Plessis wins this fight, I can 100% see the UFC moving in a direction where they try and rush him to UFC 300. He might put up a fight, he might go 301, 302, but I can see them rushing him and wanting to get him in front of Israel Adesanya as quickly as possible. That is what we're going to be talking about today. How should we handle the return of Israel Adesanya? Now, I know recently he said he's not going to be back until 2027, but it seems like a lot of people have a hard time reading sarcasm and trolling. So,
for 2024, you're back, yeah?
Maybe. 2027.
Okay.
2027. Look for the return. I'll see you there. You go down.
I don't think he was being serious in that clip. I think he was just playing with the reporter. Why do I think if Dricus wins, they're going to push Israel Adesanya right back to the front of the line again and have him versus Dricus? Well, the UFC, they love money and they love giving people title shots who don't really deserve it. Like, for example, Marlon Cheeto Vera against Sean O'Malley or Colby Covington against Leon Edwards. The UFC is clearly in the business of making the biggest pay-per-views they possibly can every single month. We don't actually live in like a PFL structured sport where it's this sort of point system where you win the most fights, you absolutely get a title shot. It should be, but the UFC is in the business of making money. And that means they're going to be setting up the biggest pay-per-views they can, and they're going to justify Israel Adesanya's return. As for Israel Adesanya sitting out for a little bit, I do believe that this move from him is purely to sit out and just sit back and watch the division and see where it ends up. I think it's the easiest way to get Israel a title shot without risking a loss from him to another top 5 contender. It's no secret, yeah? The UFC have invested a ton of money into Israel Adesanya, into the brand name of him. He's pretty much the company's face. He's their second highest paid star behind Conor McGregor. He's the face of 2 UFC video games. They also know that Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis, if that's a pay-per-view for a championship fight, that is going to be massive money. I think if you're the UFC, you have 2 options on how to handle Israel's return depending on who wins UFC 297. Now, if Sean Strickland wins, and I like Sean Strickland, but I don't think the UFC do. I think he's a problem for the branding of their product. But if Sean Strickland wins, you just throw Chimaev back at him and you try and get Strickland out of the championship position as quickly as possible. But you can also keep Israel Adesanya just on short notice, on the back burner, on the wait. In that clip, in fact, when he was hanging around Saudi Arabia at the Francis Ngannou-Tyson Fury fight, he looked good. He looked on weight, in shape. Just keep him in the background of the division. Keep bringing up his name. Just run the excuse for him that he needs to take a break from all the activity that he did in his championship run. Then you wait until someone drops out of a title fight or isn't available. By the way, if you're enjoying this channel, why don't you go ahead and click on that subscribe button really quickly. You already clicked on the video. You might as well just scroll down for a second, click on that subscribe button, give yourselves like a 7-day free trial with it. If you like the content popping up on your YouTube stream, go ahead, keep it there. If you don't like it, get rid of it. That's totally fine. Now, if you're Israel Adesanya and you're just sitting on the sidelines, nice and healthy, you can just wait for someone to drop out. Say a title fight gets booked between Sean Strickland and Khamzat Chimaev. You just sit and wait, and maybe one of them drops out, and then miraculously at the last moment, the same way that Sean Strickland got his title opportunity, the same way that Jamal Hill was given his title opportunity, you just say, oh, Israel Adesanya was the only one that was healthy and available to make a title shot on short notice, and then he goes right back into the title match. If Dricus du Plessis wins, you simply throw Israel Adesanya at him anyway, ignore any of the backlash that comes, anyone who poses it, you just start to count the money. If you're the UFC, you just start to count the money that comes in for when Israel takes on Dricus du Plessis in the Battle of Africa. And unfortunately, all the backlash is going to get completely zoned out of the media. The media is just going to be covering the battle for Africa, the controversy that's going to go on between Israel Adesanya all those horrible things that Israel Adesanya was saying to Dricus du Plessis last time they were face to face, that's all the media is going to cover, just the story. That no one's going to focus on the backlash of Israel Adesanya not actually deserving another title shot so quickly. It's just going to be roll ahead, business as usual. Now, why do I think that there will be backlash from the fans if Israel Adesanya gets another title shot without taking on a contender? Well, quite frankly, I don't think that he deserves another title shot. He's 2 losses, 1 win from his last 3. He lost the belt to Alex Pereira, and we gave him a rerun because of his dominance, won it back, but then he lost it again to Sean Strickland. That doesn't make you a dominant champion. That just makes you someone who lost another championship. You don't get infinite rematches just because the UFC tells us that you're popular. He needs to go back down and fight a contender. Justin Gaethje is incredibly popular, and he welcomed up Rafael Fiziev and then took on Dustin Poirier again. Look at how many contenders Robert Whittaker had to fight to get another title shot. Look at the work that Max Holloway has done to earn almost a 4th title shot, and I mean almost a 4th because they were seriously considering Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria as an interim title if Alexander Volkanovski couldn't make it. These are real fighters who are staying in the top 5 and taking on new contenders and risking it all to get back to the championship, not just sitting out and waiting to see where they can swoop in. Sorry if you're an Israel Adesanya fan, but his own coach and his own team, they completely agree with him. Eugene Berman was running this whole, we have to uphold the integrity of the belt, and Chimaev hasn't done enough work, and let's talk about the prestige of the title before Chimaev can have a go. That's the narrative they were running while they were trying to dodge any chance of fighting Chimaev. So I think Israel Adesanya has to play by the same rules that his team lays down and fight an up-and-coming contender before he can go back and fight for the title. I think Israel Adesanya should fight number 9, Khamzat Chimaev, or the loser of UFC 297 in a 5-round co-main event on a week pay-per-view. Now, the UFC are going to hate that idea. They can't market it as well, but I think that's what has to happen. And I think if you're an Israel Adesanya fan, you want him to take on the right contenders and earn back the respect of the MMA community. Go to any Israel Adesanya post that isn't on his Instagram or his Twitter and look at the comments below it. The MMA community have turned hard on Israel Adesanya, and he needs to work his way back to a title shot and get his respect back the exact same way that Max Holloway has done 3, maybe 4 times now, if you include the fact that they were trying to put him there as an interim champion. That's a lot of hard work. So please let me know your thoughts down in the comments. How would you like to see the return of Israel Adesanya? Again, if you've been enjoying these videos, don't forget to just tap that subscribe button on your way out, and I'll see you all in the next one.